The day Daniel Cole walked into the glass palace of the city's most powerful luxury car company, he wasn't chasing a dream, he was running from a deadline. His rent was overdue, his daughter's asthma medicine was running out, and the last thing he expected to hear from the woman behind the marble desk was a sentence that would change his life forever. "If you marry me, today, the job is yours." He thought it was a joke. He was wrong. Daniel Cole had learned how to disappear. At 36, he knew how to keep his shoulders slightly hunched so he wouldn't be noticed, how to lower his voice when speaking to people in suits, how to smile politely even when rejection burned his chest. Life had trained him well. Once, he had been an engineer with promise. Then his wife died in a late-night accident, and grief hollowed him out faster than bills ever could. Promotions passed him by. Projects slipped through his fingers. Eventually the company let him go. "Budget cuts," they said. Now Daniel was a single father with a 7-year-old daughter named Lily, a girl with bright eyes, fragile lungs, and a laugh that sounded like hope itself. Every morning, he braided her hair with clumsy fingers, packed her lunch, and promised her things he wasn't sure he could keep. That morning, Lily had hugged him tightly before school. "Did you find a job yet, Daddy?" "Today," he said softly. "I think today." The building loomed like something unreal, steel, glass, wealth reflected in every surface. Aurelius Motors. The kind of place where cars cost more than Daniel had earned in his entire life. He didn't belong there. He knew it. The security guard knew it. Even the receptionist looked at his worn shoes before handing him a visitor badge. He wasn't applying for a glamorous role. Just maintenance. Facilities. Anything that paid enough to keep Lily safe. And that was how he ended up in the executive office of Elena Voss. She stood by the window when he entered, tall, composed, her presence quiet but commanding. Elena Voss was a name whispered with admiration and fear in the business world. A woman who had taken over her father's company after his sudden death and doubled its value in 3 years. She turned slowly, her eyes sharp, studying Daniel as if she were reading a blueprint. "You're overqualified," she said after scanning his resume. Daniel swallowed. "I'll do anything. I'm not picky." "I know," she replied calmly. "That's why you're here." Something about the way she said it unsettled him. She asked questions that had nothing to do with fixing pipes or changing light fixtures. About Lily. About loss. About what it meant to keep going when everything collapses. Daniel answered honestly, because he was too tired to pretend anymore. When he finished, the room went quiet. Then Elena said the words that froze the air. "I need a husband." Daniel laughed, once nervously. "I'm sorry? My board is threatening to remove me," she said, her voice steady but her eyes betraying exhaustion. "They want a stable image. A family woman. Someone safe. If I marry you today, you get the job. Full salary. Benefits. Housing allowance. Your daughter's medical care covered." Daniel stared at her, heart pounding. This is insane." "Yes," Elena said. "But it's also practical." He thought of Lily. The inhaler. The eviction notice folded in his jacket pocket. "What's the catch?" he asked. She met his gaze. "You must live with me. Publicly. Convincingly. For 1 year." Silence stretched between them. Outside, the city roared. Inside, Daniel felt his life teeter on the edge of something terrifying and impossible. "Take an hour," Elena said. "If you walk away, I'll understand." Daniel didn't need an hour. He needed a miracle. And miracles, he had learned, never looked the way you expected. Hook Chapter 2. Daniel thought the hardest part would be saying, "I do." He was wrong. The real test began the night he overheard Elena crying alone in the dark, because the marriage that saved his daughter was slowly breaking the woman who saved him. They married in a courthouse with borrowed rings and no guests. Daniel wore his only suit. Elena wore a simple white dress that looked like it had never been meant for love. Cameras flashed anyway. By evening, the world believed the story. At home, her home, the silence was heavy. The mansion felt empty despite its size. Lily clutched Daniel's hand, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. Elena knelt in front of her. "You can call me Elena," she said gently. "And you're safe here." For the first time in weeks, Daniel slept without fear. Days turned into weeks. Daniel worked hard, refusing special treatment. Lily's health improved. Elena watched them quietly, as if observing a life she'd never known how to build. But behind closed doors, the cracks showed. Elena lived by schedules and walls. Daniel lived by feelings and small moments. They clashed, softly at first, then painfully. One night, after a bored dinner where Elena had been paraded like a trophy, Daniel found her in the dark, shoulders shaking. "I didn't want this life," she whispered when she realized he was there. "I just didn't know how to escape it." Daniel sat beside her. For the first time, there was no deal between them. Just two broken people breathing the same air. From that night on, something shifted. They began to talk. Really talk. About fear. About failure. About loneliness that money couldn't touch. Elena learned how to laugh again, awkwardly at first, then freely. Daniel learned that strength didn't always look like survival. The board noticed the change. The media did too. But when the one-year mark approached, the truth loomed like a storm. "This was supposed to end," Daniel said one evening. "I don't want to trap you." Elena looked at Lily asleep on the couch, then back at Daniel. "You didn't trap me," she said softly. "You freed me." On the day the contract expired, Elena stood before the board alone. "I won't pretend anymore," she said. "This marriage began as a lie, but the family is real. If that costs me my position, so be it." Silence. Then applause. They didn't remove her. They respected her. That night, Daniel proposed for real, with trembling hands and a ring he could barely afford. Elena said yes through tears. Not because she needed an image, but because she had found a home. Sometimes life doesn't save you the way you expect. Sometimes it challenges you, scares you, and forces you to choose courage over pride. But when two broken hearts choose honesty over fear, even the most unlikely beginning can lead to a love strong enough to change everything.